Great day, everyone. Welcome to this edition of Let's Talk BRI. I'm Teri B. Harrison, and I am delighted to have two amazing ladies with me today. And we are going to dive in and have a discussion that is near and dear to my heart. Let me introduce you to my guests, if that's all right, and then we will welcome them and get into our discussion. I'm joined by the great Elian Haan. She's a transformation coach, leading and supporting her clients in finding their sexy back, working through anxiety and life hassles, and becoming their true and authentic self. She also coaches high-level executives around work-life balance, and she's coming to us today from the greater Dallas area. Welcome, Elian.
Good morning. Thank you for having me today. I'm glad to be here.
So excited to have you here. And then I'm joined by the beautiful, gorgeous Teri Riley. She's an author, speaker, and style transformation coach on a mission to empower women on a journey of self-discovery, helping them unveil their unique personal style and embrace their true magnificence from the inside out. Teri inspires women to radiate confidence, authenticity, and empowerment, igniting a ripple effect of positive change in their lives and in their world. And she's coming to us from Waldorf, Maryland. Welcome, Teri.
Good morning. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for
Oh,
having me, Shirley.
so happy to have you here. And for those who don't know me, I'm Teri Lee Harrison. I'm the founder of BRI Talks. BRI stands for Bold, Real, Impactful. I'm a speaker, business development coach, a global speaker, and a multi-time author. You think I wouldn't glance at my own notes here, but I have a goal of helping 1 million people to overcome shame in the next 15 years. And I'm passionate about helping small business owners, entrepreneurs, and nonprofit leaders share their message in the most impactful way. I'm coming to you from Arlington, Texas. So here we are, ladies. We are going to have a somewhat of a serious, real, if BRI Talk stands for bold, real, impactful, I feel like that's the conversation that we're going to have today. And the ladies know what we're going to talk about, but I don't think it's something that humans talk about a lot. And so, number one, we're going to dive in a little bit about shame. And we are probably going to get really vulnerable here in our conversation. But we're specifically going to look at having awkward feelings about how you're made. So I'll just really quick say that shame is when you feel bad about yourself as a person, and it differs from like guilt, because guilt is when you feel you've done a bad thing. Okay, so feeling bad about ourselves as a person, and I believe all humans deal with this, right? So, but we're going to dive in a little bit about the awkward feelings about how we're made. And this got prompted to have this discussion because recently Teri Riley spoke at a BRI Talks global gathering and shared a bit about her story, and it is quite impactful. And so I just want to open it up to you all for anything that you're willing to share about for either of you, and you can raise your finger if you want to go first. I won't necessarily call on you, but in this theme of awkward feelings about your mate, I will say this: it can be anything. And the thing about our awkward feelings is that they're personal. So like I might think, well, that's no big deal, but it's not about me. It's about how you take it on. So it could be everything from you're too fat, you're too thin, you're too tall, you're too short, your skin is too light, your skin is too dark. It can be that you have like a scar or you have a birthmark, some type of deformity that people can see. It can even be that you're dyslexic and can't read and don't want anyone to know. It could be, I've never said this one out loud because it doesn't affect me, but it probably affects people. Like you can't sing at all. Like you just cannot sing at all. Some of you may know what that feels like. But the thing about this is that I don't think a lot of people talk about, but we're going to talk about it today. So do I get a finger of someone who wants to share first? Just some awkward feelings about how you're made, and we're going to shed light on this subject.
Sure.
I knew it. Hey, I want you to go. Hey, Teri, let's hear from you.
Sure. I'll share, Terry Lee. Growing up, I was bullied and teased because of my dark complexion. I was told that I was ugly, and I also have a birthmark too. And that those two together really made me feel ugly because I was told I was ugly because of my dark skin. I was called names: Spot, Blackie, Tar Baby. I mean, and my initials at that time was Terry, my middle name, A and R, and it was Tar. And I hated when we had to write initials. So I would just do TR because it just seems like everything brought back those feelings of just not being good enough, not being pretty enough. And when you hear it over and over and over, you just begin to believe it. And that's what happened with me, even just from a young child, adolescent, hearing those words, but then becoming a young woman and internalizing that's who I am. I'm ugly. Nobody wants to be with me. I thought if I had a boyfriend, I had boyfriends, but I thought I was lucky to have a boyfriend because of the way that I looked. And so I put up with a lot of abuse, mentally, physically, emotionally, because I didn't know who I was. I didn't understand at the time that I am beautiful. Um, and my grandfather used to tell me, I don't even think I've ever shared this with anyone, but he told me that God marked me because of my birthmark. He said, God marked you. You're gonna do great things. And every now and then that would come back to me. But when you're hearing all those other words just being, I say hurled at you because it's just so hurtful. Um, yeah.
And would this be mainly school or everywhere?
Mainly school. It started in school and I just would want to be invisible. I just remember walking in the crowded hallways and sometimes people didn't even know me. Just look at her. Look how black she is. Look how dark she is. Um, and I would pretend not to hear those words. And another thing is I was really smart. I mean, I was a straight A student, and I think a lot of times I used that to try to prove that I was worthy and I was good enough. But then when the teacher would ask questions, I would be afraid to raise my hand because then when I did, I got teased.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I'm sorry that that happened to you. Do you want to respond to her, Elian?
You know, it just makes me tear up every time you tell the story, Teri. And now I know you and love you and think you're so beautiful. And it's just, in the first place, I just don't get it that people do that. Right? I just don't get it. And I know that when we're young, and especially high school, it's brutal. It is brutal. And I know that we're at that age, of course, also not aware of what it does to us. You know, we have no frame of reference, and we're not aware sometimes. Even as bullies, right? They are the ones that need help. They are not aware of their impact, lifetime that they have on somebody else. So that I cannot understand. I think I don't even understand what it is to have that daily. Although my form and my body trauma, shame was a little different. There's two things for me that I'm sometimes still, you know, it just never go away, right? We can sometimes just kind of run into it. Sometimes it still bothers me. I had a very bad body perspective. I had a huge scoliosis, but I wanted to be in the fitness and dance business. I wanted to be a dancer. I became a fitness professional, but I hid that for a long time, most of my life. I just was so ashamed of it, but I could never wear a regular bra. I could never wear, you know, kind of fun undies or open back things because I was so ashamed of it. And that I was able to hide. Another thing internally and mentally that I struggled with was never be good enough because it was kind of the opposite. You're cute. You know, oh yeah, but you don't have anything to complain about. You're cute, yada, yada, yada. And I was hiding the rest, but then not being taken serious. And that started verbally when I was in high school because it was just cute. You don't have to do anything. Go dance, and you know, there's nothing else that you can do. So, but also because there's nothing else that I could do. I'm a serial certification taker. I really can't do anything for a long time, but I know that now. But focus-wise, I constantly need to have a new piece of paper because otherwise I think that people don't take me serious. And that's something that it just kind of keeps going on. Recently, I got pretty bugged about it, just how family members can do that to us, and got pretty gaslit about it, and just Comes all the way back that you have to go through 1 week off. What am I doing? What I'm doing is never good enough. It just doesn't mean anything, right? And we can feel like that for a long time.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
It's it's amazing how our stories parallel yet they're different, right?
Yeah.
And the thing is, for our listeners, is I'm willing to bet that anyone watching is like, yeah, and this is what I have going on. So I do invite you to put in the chat anything you might like to share, or if you feel like this is something you want to share with someone, share the link, tag people, because this is just a really important conversation to have, because we all deal with it, and as you said, it doesn't completely go away. It's not like even when we do anything to work through it that you erase, you don't erase it, right? It doesn't change, it's still with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
um, so for me, I've come out and openly share now, but how how I was made was so not okay that, for 30 years I held it inside and didn't tell anyone, which is a little different because, I had scoliosis too, but I always felt like it was down in my hips and didn't show so much. So I didn't dwell on it. Although I will say, one time someone said to me, talked about my handicap, and I got mad. I was like, what?
Mhm.
You know,
Mm.
but so no, I wasn't being called names. I didn't feel I was judged. I was judging myself every day.
Mhm.
So there'll be people that can relate to awkward feelings about how you're made, and you stuff them inside, and but yet it's a secret. And so in my case, I was born with an underdeveloped reproductive tract, and at 12 years old I had to have surgery to begin having my first period, and I took on at 12 that I was different than all other girls. And so there's a picture of me in 6th grade, and you ladies might relate to some pictures of you back in the day and in the time. And I mean, I look like I'd been hit by a freight train, an airliner, and a semi all at once. Like, just my physical appearance, and like my eyes, like, I mean, I look dead in the eyes, right? I mean, so it is different. It is different not to be called the names. You're calling yourself the names, even unconsciously.
Yeah.
So I want to bring that up just because, some people may relate to that. Like, I'm horrified at the names you were called, Teri. That horrifies me that you had to go through school that way.
Yeah.
And I'm so sad about that. And so, is there anything else that you all would like to share about your feelings about, how all this made you feel? And I can pause here and just see if there's anything else you might like to share.
For me, I just I just didn't feel good enough. I just felt ugly. I felt unworthy. I felt ugly. I mean, that's just the word. I just felt ugly, and that's how I got into fashion. I didn't even know if I spoke about that because I would spend hours. I would remember going home and just wanted to play with my Barbie dolls and dress them up. I spent hours just dressing them up, and that made me feel alive because during the day at school, I just felt so bad about myself. I didn't want to be there. But when I got home and I started playing with dressing myself up, I felt beautiful, especially when I got myself dressed. And I look good to me. When I look good to me, I felt beautiful. And that's what I do today. I just help other women just look and feel beautiful. It's fashion. I tell women it's so much more than clothes because
Yeah.
you can put on an article of clothing and it could just change the way that you see yourself. It's not about how do you see you? Because that's important, how you see yourself. It doesn't matter what someone else thinks. I've learned that now. But back then, those words were overpowering how I felt about me. And now I know that it doesn't matter what they say. It matters where it starts with me
Yeah.
and how I feel about me.
It's so true. It starts inside.
Yeah.
It all starts inside. And I don't know why. and of course we all do when we're young, but it's just constant judgment from the outside world. And even sometimes people mean it well, like, you're okay, but you're just being pretty, or so. It's not okay for me. You know what I mean? But people mean it sometimes even well. So many people don't understand what the impact of their words is for us as well. And so as long as we start feeling what you said, that you start feeling good about yourself, and fashion and color and clothing and behavior that comes with that. I remember we played model, we walked the runway, that kind of feeling that even gives young women now a really good sense of self-esteem just doing it. It's not a
Absolutely.
TikTok thing, it's not an Instagram thing, but working with young women on how to carry themselves, that kind of thing is really important for their self-esteem and everything that they're trying to live up to. When it comes to, that's a whole other discussion around another world, right? About what they're trying to live up to. But I think I just try to please my parents, and I just try to, in my 20s, please my environment, and trying to live up to expectations and do everything that other people want me to do.
Yeah.
And with that, standing up to climbing on somewhat of a pedestal, like I can do it all. And then from there on, just never asking for help anymore. Because now you put yourself in that strong position, and now you're just like trying to live up to that image, like, yes, I can handle it, or yes, I can do it, or nobody will see it, and hiding all that stuff. I think it was a lot of judgment and expectation that had to do with it when we were younger.
So true.
Yeah.
And people didn't talk about it, right?
No,
No.
no,
I
no.
don't think that we knew to talk about it.
I don't think we knew, and I think we were all brought up in a generation that was really full of, pull your boots up and pull yourself up by your bootstraps and move on, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So be strong, no crying about it, that kind of thing. Or what are you whining about, right? Everything was kind of diminished to what's wrong with you. And now we live in a whole different world.
Ooh,
Yeah.
something's going on with the noise. I apologize. Um, I think for me, the one thing that I did that I didn't, it was all subconscious, but I sought out perfectionism. So getting the best grades, being involved in church, dating the best boys, but the thing about my perfectionism is it allowed me to over time to have good jobs. I made good money. So like over time I became a single mom, but I wasn't like a single mom who was struggling financially. I was a single mom who I was walking wounded, if you will, but I was able to have some success in business. I would do my self-sabotage thing, right? Like, whether my personal life or in business, I would get so far in self-sabotage, but yet there was a point that my perfectionism did serve me, and so some people may relate to that whole perfectionism thing. Either of you?
Yeah, I think absolutely. Absolutely. I think we're just trying to keep it up by other things, doing other things really well. And that will serve us in the end, right? I think that will serve us in the end. That we're doing that. I was very disciplined. And I came from the background to that still serves me, and to just really want to keep myself up and do something for myself as well. And there's a lot of good coming out of it. I don't think we realize it in the moment.
Right.
How about you, Terry?
I agree. I agree. I deal with it now still, but I really dealt with it because when you don't feel like you're good enough, then you want to be perfect because you just feel less than. And so I was, like I said before, with the grades, just trying to do everything perfect. Um, Not getting into trouble, just listening to my teachers, just being the teacher's pet, or just trying to be the perfect person because I felt so less than inside.
Yeah.
And I deal with it now still, but now what I'm learning is that I have to be me and not be perfect, and just progress, because in business too, progress over perfection. I tell myself all the time, because I'll try to get something perfect
Mm.
because I'm worried about what other people are going to say, what they're going to think. And that's what I'm, trying to get through, that perfectionism.
That is so good. Progress over perfection.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that. I'd love to go back if we could, and you're going to go, no way. But if we could interview your bullies, I would love to interview your bullies today and find out, really how they're doing and how they were doing, right?
Yeah. What would you say today?
It's
Yeah.
so funny that I don't remember faces. I just
The
remember words. One particular person I do remember, and I actually saw him at a my 10-year high school reunion, and it was a totally different situation. I never
You
said
came in as a shining rock star, of course. So
anything.
that's already the intimidating part, right?
Yeah.
You just have to go like a rock star to the reunion.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I was looking kind of good.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And he was checking me out, but
I'm
but
sure.
Yeah, good, good. That's the ultimate beautiful part of the inside revenge, right? Just to kind of
it
like,
it was very well, I can't even think of the word. Like revenge, I guess. But it also brought back those moments in class where he did hurl those words at me, but then it was bittersweet because it's like because that's not who I am. I know who I am.
That's right.
yeah.
I know who I am. And yeah.
I know that people always talk about revenge in a negative way. Of course, if you do something to somebody else, that would be horrible. But sometimes I talk to my clients in the sense of it's a little bit of an internal win slash
Yes,
revenge in your mind, right? You don't have to verbalize it, you don't do any harm, but it's just like nah, 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 that kind of feeling, and that's allowed because it's kind of an internal win that strengthens you inside and that makes sure that you are to a place where you're going to belong, right? Where you want to be. That leads
that's
you to a place
exactly
where
it.
yeah.
That's
Nah,
what I felt. I felt that. I felt, yeah, I felt that.
nah, 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 nah. Yeah, it's a good one. It's a good one.
It
Yeah,
was a good one.
yeah.
It
Yeah.
is a good one. It is a good one. I had shared with the ladies that sometimes because we're believing the lies, right? We're in that mode of believing the lies that I even found like there's times I couldn't believe what God said about me. And Psalm 139 says, I praise you because you're fearfully and wonderfully made. And like I tell you, I didn't, how could I believe that, right? Now,
Yeah.
today, I have different truth about who I am. And today I can. And it's actually one of my favorite verses. But that took quite a shift, right? So how we feel about ourselves and what we believe, it affects everything. We talked about business, but our relationships, right? Our relationship with God, it affects everything, everything.
Talking about shame, I think for after I went through quite some trauma years, I just for the next 10, 15 years, I just made the wrong decisions in my relationships, in my communication,
Mhm.
in my so-called stronghold, like don't touch me, I got a wall around me, I don't communicate, I don't share. And
Mhm.
out of that came many not so yeah shameful decisions in the sense of I could have looked at that from another angle, but they came out of fear or they came out of anger. Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
just say same. Same.
And talking about the Bible, they came out of my I had a relationship with God, but it was depending on the minute and the second. Like if it was not good, I would blame him and step away from any relationship with God. It was just all a mess. And if it was good, it was like, well, thank you, I guess. you know, that
Mhm.
kind of very superficial relationship of not understanding what my real relationship and truth with God was.
So good. So good. Let's look at it's interesting what we do now. Like our bios and our intros now are very powerful, okay? Right? What weren't they? Weren't they? We are not the same young ladies. Now we're more just a little bit more mature. But we've been able to take our mess and I believe turn it into our message, right? So we know Elian helps people work through anxiety, life hassles, become their true and authentic self. She's a trauma informed care coach. That the work Teri does, helping women unveil their unique personal style and embrace their true magnificence from the inside out. I am helping people own and embrace their story, right?
Yeah.
Um, these all come from our journeys, right? And so we're given our life mission, our life passion, our life assignment. And I want to acknowledge you all because we could all still be back there.
Yeah.
Thank God. Thank God we're still not there. And now we can help lead the way for others
Oh,
to step out of that place because there are plenty of people in that place. And even in different ways with your image, with your Elian on the inside, my helping people own their story. Like we actually make a really great team, huh? but
yeah.
I'm so delighted to have you in my life. Let's take a look at anything that you might want to share about what you did to work through some of your things. Because Teri, you don't sit here today looking like a rock star for nothing, right? So maybe we can share, and then after we share just on our own journey, perhaps Elian from the trauma-informed care side can share some other things others can do to work through some of this.
I'll share what I did is actually I had an epiphany um, after a failed relationship where I felt um, that I that it was my fault that I wasn't good enough, and God spoke to me, and I heard those words that I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. I didn't really understand it then, but it gave me hope, and I was able to leave the relationship. But just spending for me, it was just spending time meditating, just being quiet and being still and knowing that God was with me, that I am unique. There's no other like me. And when you get that understanding that God created you in his image, that there's only one of you. And the things that I've gone through, I've learned is for me to share to help another woman. Because like you said, that's our journey and we're vessels and we need to allow ourselves to be used by God because he's always with us. And when we spend time and we know who we are and we know that we made it through. We all three, we made it through.
Yeah.
It wasn't easy, but we made it through. And now we have to just reach back and help somebody else make it through
Yeah.
because there's so many others that need to hear our stories because they don't understand or know that they can too make it through.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Terry. That's so true. I mean, just helping one person at a time, being able to help somebody else. I am. My personal journey came from a pastor, and I finally went back to church. And I had I was constantly trying to prove myself, prove. Just it went in all directions, and not everything was 80%, and nothing was good, and just kept looking all over the place, and it just didn't help. And the pastor I started working with. I was at his home, and we really started working together in a sense of trying to do some Bible study and trying to talk. And he needed physical help, so I was kind of a physical therapist at that time to help him with some pain issues. And he said to him, he said, "What do you want?" And I said, "I just want to help people, and wherever I can. And I've always been trying to do that, and I just don't know where it is." And he said, "It's right here. You're already doing it. You just don't see it because you don't put any value on it." And because I was constantly underestimating my own skills, I didn't value myself at all in what I did. So mainly it had to do with constant money problems, with constant communication relationship problems, trying to change others instead of myself, because I was just like not feeling it. Instead of, so I was maybe helping others with charging $2 instead of the $20 that they charged around the corner. I didn't know I was helping. I didn't see what I was doing and putting out there and putting value on it. So that started to change my perspective. And after that, I did a lot of help with coaches, mentors, self-help, transformation, just the last 20 years, just coming to that place of feeling a bit stronger, feeling that sharing is caring, feeling a little bit more pride about my story, in a sense of accepting and embracing it, so that I don't feel that I have to be ashamed about it anymore. But I can tell.
I love that. For me, I went from holding my story and who I was as a secret and being ashamed and thinking if people really knew me, they wouldn't want to do business with me, they wouldn't want to be with me, to being someone who I've experienced that one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself is to allow others to love you for who you really are. We just never give them a chance. And I want everyone, as many people as possible, to be able to practice radical self acceptance and to be able to experience that, just to be you and let people love you for who you really are. And I can honestly say, ladies, that I've had an opportunity where I spoke my message on a stage, and you know how when you speak at conferences, they'll have that short time after where like people come up and like they might see you or buy your thing, and then it's over and they move on to the next speaker. Like I've seen it where they kept coming all afternoon, and I had like 2 cases of books, and they just kept coming and coming and coming. And this whole message, what we're talking about right now, it resonates, and it's in exactly we're in the same business. It's just it's packaged a little differently. Does that make sense?
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely. Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
As I think the biggest problem with women is that they're not sharing, because we always, we want to come across as the strong, fun mother, the amazing spouse. Whatever we do, we just try to make it light and fun and strong and forwards, and we just really get stuck in our own a lot. But I think a lot of women are not ready to be vulnerable about that and just say like, hey, I can't do it, right? I'm a total mess today, or I choose to be messy for a couple of days, or I have to lock myself away or up, or I can't communicate. That kind of thing is what a lot of women do. And I think again that is the whole pattern that we are brought
Hmm.
up with, right? The
Yep.
caretakers, the role models and the caretakers.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. Elian, if we could just look to you from a trauma care informed perspective, we mentioned some of the things we've done to work through some of our things. If we have someone listening, how would you guide them so that they could get started?
Yeah, definitely in the first place, always what we all didn't do at the moment or in that moment then is ask for help if you feel stuck. Ask for help, and there's a lot of different ways that you can ask for help. It can be so in church, it can be, in a group, it can be just with a coach or with an expert. It is in the sense, talking about it helps. Talking about it helps us. That's what we're constantly doing here. Is constantly telling our story so it becomes stronger and it helps somebody else, and repeating the story and repeating the pain. Working through trauma is not easy, and you never work through it so it goes away. It doesn't go away. So I want people to know that. Don't expect it to go away, but you just get better at it. You just get better at it. That's what I always say. And definitely think about the words expectation and judgment from others. The only one who can judge us is right up there, right? Our higher power. We have no business being busy with other people.
Mm.
We have no business talking, gossiping, judging.
So,
We all do it somewhat on the couch, it's all fine if you're making a joke at home and it stays between four walls. But we have no business judging other people. We have to approach them exactly where they are. And you have to reach out to find out where you are about yourself. Self development is good, growth is good,
Yep.
growth is good. Embrace that. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So reaching out and finding things for anxiety and stress and trauma. And there's, of course, a lot of things that we can do, like meditation, exercise, taking a good walk, right? Taking a good breath, having a good conversation with God, trying to embrace your relationship with God. Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you. Teri, we're going to start to tie up our conversation today. Is there anything that you would like to say in closing?
I would say to start with love yourself. Love yourself, and understand and know that you truly are beautiful. And in my case, I didn't see it for years. It took me a long time to see my beauty and to just value who you are and to understand that you're worthy just the way that you are. And it's funny that when we don't value who we are, because I didn't see myself as beautiful and I had those bad relationships because I didn't value who I was and I didn't love myself. But I've been married almost 22 years and my husband said what attracted him to me or me to him was my beautiful dark skin.
Mm,
And the
smart
thing
man.
it's, it's just the thing for years that I did not like about myself was the thing that God had for me. You know, He had this wonderful man for me who loved me for exactly who I am. I didn't have to be anyone or anything different.
You gotta make my mascara run.
Yeah, she does that. She does that to me too, quite often.
Smart man, because I think you're beautiful too. I think you're
Thank you.
gorgeous and beautiful.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Thank you, Terry, for those words. Elian, what would you like to say in closing?
We're worthy.
Mhm.
God thinks we're worthy. I didn't
Mhm.
see that. I don't think a lot of people see that necessarily in everything that they are, right? Not just the outside, but also the inside. We're worthy to share. We're worthy for our thoughts. We're worthy for our beings. Worthy for what we are for other people. We're worthy. Yeah. And my last word is always saying, yeah, you get better at it. That's the nice thing of growing up.
Yeah.
Sometimes we have to adult, and that's the nice thing about it. Yeah.
Nice, nice, nice. I had a quote that I found because the thing about these believing we're not worthy and believing we're not enough and believing that we're ugly and all the things is their lies, right? This quote is: "Your mind will believe everything you tell it. Feed it faith, feed it truth, feed it love. If that's how we will show up every day, this is how we're going to work through our things and be able to go help more people. So that's what I believe we're up to, and we want to invite you to the same. And ladies, I just want to thank you for being on the Let's Talk Free podcast. It's very meaningful to have this conversation. I love you both and appreciate your vulnerability. So thank you for being here today. We'll have in the comments how you can get a hold of these amazing ladies because some of you may be really resonating with what they're up to. And as we close out, I just want you to all remember that you are good enough, you matter, and you are loved. Thank you, ladies.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.